News at 10 first, the highlight. Legacy government compensates Dosumu market fire disaster victims. Federal government to begin monkeypox vaccination on October 8. On the foreign scene, Ukraine President Volodymyr Zelensky sacks Air Force chief after F-16 crash. And in sports, Super Eagles technical director Austin Eguavoen to lead team against Benin Republic, Rwanda for 2025 AFCON fixtures after Bruno Labbadia's withdrawal. And now the details. I am Mike James. Legacy government has presented checks to compensate victims of Dosumu fire disaster at Lagos Island after a proper enumeration of people affected. Governor Babajide Sanwo-Olu, who performed the official symbolic presentation of bank checks to the victims at Lagos Island, said the gesture is in fulfillment of the promise made by the state government. The governor had earlier promised while on an assessment visit to the site of the fire incident, which occurred on 9th of April due to suspected illegal fuel storage, that the state government would provide succor to affected traders to help them back on their feet. The traders affected were compensated in three categories of 2.5 million naira, 1.5 million naira, and 750,000 naira, according to the enumeration process. Legacy government, in partnership with UN Women, has advocated advancement in capacity building and financial empowerment for women through affirmative procurement reforms. Speaking at a media forum in Alausa, Governor Babajide Sanwo-Olu, who was represented by his special advisor, Media and Publicity, Gboyega Akosile, noted that the state government is in tandem with more women representation in every sector of the policy making, including bidding for contracts.
For all the women here, you are in a better step now to come forward and bid for contracts in government. Don't be afraid of those men with all the money, all the connection. You have a government, you have an agency that will handhold you and will make sure that they support you, that you will fully be empowered.
Director General of the Legacy Public Procurement Agency, Fatai Onofote, said the policy sits well with the themes plus agenda of the Sanwo-Olu administration aimed at correcting long-standing policies that have marginalized women in businesses.
We are also happy to note that this policy sits properly with the themes plus agenda of Mr. Babajide Olúṣọlá Sanwo-Olu, with the plus speaking to gender equality, women empowerment, and youth empowerment. The gender responsive policy that we are discussing today is not just a document. It is a pioneering effort to correct the long-standing imbalances that have marginalized women entrepreneurs from accessing public procurement opportunities.
Head of Communications, UN Women, Anthony Abu, commended the media for constant advocacy, noting that lives of women get better with economic empowerment and financial capacity for them to achieve their goals. On a part, the focal person of UN Women in Lagos State Public Procurement Agency, Adeola Sanwo, said plan is in the pipeline to obtain an executive order to mandate ministries, departments and agencies of government to be responsive to the gender-responsive procurement policy to prioritize women-owned businesses in Lagos State.
We want to obtain the executive order for the GRP. This is a critical component of this policy document. This will mandate all ministries, departments, and agencies to prioritize women-owned, women-led business in Lagos State. At least if it's coming from the governor, then it has come to stand.
Sanwo also advocated the establishment of Gender Desk Office to assist women-owned, women-led businesses to bid for and obtain contracts to bridge the percentage gap in the state. All is set for the commemoration of this year's Domestic Violence Awareness Month from the 1st of September with the theme SGBV, Not on My Watch, Not in My Lagos. Speaking at a press conference ahead of the celebrations at Alausa Ikeja, Commissioner for Justice Lawal Pedro said the celebration is based on a compelling need to ensure that Lagosians realize that ending the menace of sexual and gender-based violence is a collective effort, which requires the support and collaboration of all members of the society. Pedro was represented by the acting Solicitor General and Permanent Secretary in the Ministry of Justice, Hamid Oyenuga, noted that the awareness campaign will kickstart on the 2nd of September with the Turn Alausa Purple campaign, where all public servants will adorn the color purple and also create an opportunity to decorate officers with purple ribbons at the various entrances of the Secretariat, Alausa House of Assembly Gate and Old Secretariat Gate simultaneously.
This year, the advocacy work takes place at local government where we have the low reporting. This will involve traditional rulers, community leaders, market men and women, religious clerics, and other relevant stakeholders in the community. And the purpose of the advocacy work is to educate and sensitize the citizens and residents of the state on the issue of sexual and gender-based violence. The available service the state has to offer in curbing the menace.
Earlier, the Executive Secretary, Legacy Domestic and Sexual Violence Agency, the SVA, Titilola Vaivadini, noted that in the last 1 year, the agency received a spike in heartbreaking reports of abused children from Ajeromi Feludun Council area, while Alimoshok Council area had been #1 for violence against women.
If we see what we've done from 2019 to date, we have over 24,905 cases of domestic and sexual violence that have been reported officially. But we know that this does not even scratch the surface because these issues are some of the most underreported crimes, not just in Lagos, Nigeria, but globally. The fact that we even have data is a success. We are able to be strategic in our interventions. We know local governments with high reporting. We know how to target our interventions. And we also know local governments that have no reporting.
Other activities lined up include symposium, market fiesta, and advocacy work in local government areas where there are low reports involving traditional rulers, community leaders, market men and women, religious leaders, and other relevant stakeholders in the community. Eco-Men work against SGBV, Governor's Award, among others. And on to the rest of the stories. The National Primary Healthcare Development Agency, NPHCDA, has announced a tentative date to commence vaccination for monkeypox as October 8. Head of Public Relations Unit at the NPHCDA, Remy Adeleke, who made this known, also stated that the vaccine deployment will begin from October 3 to 6. Adeleke noted that the total population targeted in the 5 states affected is 4,750 persons who will receive 2 doses each, 28 days apart. He clarified that the target population is close contact of Mpox cases, health workers, and persons with low immune status. Jynneos is a vaccine approved by the Food and Drug Administration for the prevention of smallpox and Mpox in adults aged 18 years and older who are at risk of Mpox infection. The federal government has appealed to the Nigerian Association of Resident Doctors (NARD) to call off its ongoing running strike, saying it is making efforts to address the association's concerns. Minister of State, Labour and Employment, Nkeruka Oyejocha made the appeal during a meeting with NARD leaders in Abuja. Oyejocha assured NARD that the government is working to secure the release of their kidnapped colleagues. NARD President Dele Abdullahi explained that the running strike resulted from frustration after failed attempts to secure the release of their kidnapped colleagues, especially Popola Ganiat, a breastfeeding mother of 5 who has been in captivity since 27th December 2023. To ensure organizational survival and protection of workers' interests, employers of labor, employees, and other stakeholders must modify the me syndrome and embrace the growth mindset. Managing Director of Nisrael Consulting, Okpe Amushon, gave this submission at the launch of a book titled Workers' Interest and Organizational Survival: Modern Roles of Trade Unionism for National Development. Amushon, who spoke on the topic, Attitudinal Change and Positive Mindset about Work, opined that mindset is the pedestal to greatness, and employees and employers must possess the characteristics of positive mindset, such as optimism, conscious mindfulness, acceptance, resilience, gratitude, and integrity.
Average Nigerian worker, like Riley said, the thing is money, 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 but there are many things that are beyond money. Number one, you must have pride in what you are doing. If there's no pride in what you are doing, you are wasting your time. Then are you contributing to national development? For instance, whatever you are doing, you must have that at the back of your mind. Am I contributing? Am I being relevant? Am I mentoring others? Who are you mentoring? If it's just for you to work, take your salary and go home, what happens when you retire?
In his welcome address, National President, Radio, Television, Theatre and Arts Workers Union of Nigeria, Ratau Kabiru Sani, who was represented by the National Secretary Adewale Akonde, described the title of the book as apt, while calling on government at all levels to practice participatory democracy, which gives room for divergence of opinions on societal issues.
Interest is a key ingredient in the struggle for the survival of the labor movement in Nigeria. This statement is predicated on the following. Firstly, the clamor for the new minimum wage, which is approved but not yet implemented, is premise for workers' interest, welfare, and well-being. Secondly, social dialogue, which should be the fulcrum between the employer and the employee, is basically about workers' interest.
In their remarks, Executive Secretary, Broadcasting Organization of Nigeria, Yemisi Bangbushi, and General Manager at Lagos Traffic Radio, Tayo Akonle, commended the author of the book for providing insight on labor and the matters of national development. Earlier, author of the book and National Vice President of Ratau Southwest Zone, Dari Durosimi, said the book seeks to address the evolving landscape of unionism, bridge the engagement gap between employers and employees, and prefer practical solutions to labor matters.
So labor leaders and workers is this. The engagement between employee and employer has actually changed over time since we've had COVID-19 pandemic. Then it shows that people can work from home. There is a new thing, there's a new workplace. So that means there's a emerging way of us engaging with our employer, not the way we used to do it, banging the table. But now we can engage our employer. We have to be proactive, not reactive to their policy. We make sure that we want to let them know what we feel on time before they now take a policy that will affect us.
Our reporter Adewale Olokboroku reports that a panel of discussion consisting labor leaders, academias, and employers of labor critically examined issues raised in the book, advocating the buy-in of employers and policy makers into the tips and suggestions penned down by the author, with the aim of creating a proactive workforce. And in some foreign news, President Volodymyr Zelensky has sacked the commander of Ukraine's Air Force amid debate over the destruction of one of the country's valuable new F-16 fighter jets. Zelensky did not specify the reason for dismissing Mykola Oleshchuk, but said he had a responsibility to take care of all the nation's warriors. The U.S.-made F-16, one of several delivered earlier this month by Ukraine's Western allies, went down on Monday, killing the pilot. Even though it happened during a barrage of Russian missiles, Ukraine said the cause of the crash was not a direct result of an enemy strike, and Oleshchuk sparred with some politicians over who was to blame for the loss. President Zelensky renewed his calls for all Ukraine's international partners to allow it to hit targets inside Russia to prevent such attacks. And in sports news, the Nigeria Football Federation (NFF) has announced that Augustine Eguavoen, a former player and technical director of the Super Eagles, will step in as the head coach for the team's 2025 Africa Cup of Nations AFCON qualifiers against Benin Republic and Rwanda. This decision comes in the wake of German coach Bruno Labbadia's unexpected withdrawal from the role. Labbadia, who was previously named as a successor of Finidi George earlier this week, reportedly declined the position due to unresolved issues with German tax laws. The NFF made this known late on Friday via a statement on X that these tax concerns were the main obstacle to finalizing the agreement. Meanwhile, the NFF has named a 23-player squad for the upcoming qualifiers, with Napoli star Victor Osimhen, Nottingham Forest forward Taiwo Awoniyi, and stand-in captain William Troost-Ekong making their return after extended injury absences. Now's our news at 10, but just before we go, your vehicle is not a strong room. Please keep your valuables off the view of miscreants. You can follow us and like all our various social media platforms. On X, Traffic Radio 961, Facebook, Lagos Traffic Radio 96.1 FM, Instagram, Lagos Traffic Radio 961. Subscribe and watch our news and programs live on YouTube, Traffic Radio 961. You can also visit our website, www.trafficradio961.ng. Did you know that the Sanwo-Olu administration provided 450,000 pupils with e-learning devices? You can get more details. It's on the Lagos Government website. And to end the news, here are the highlights of the major stories. Lagos Government has presented checks to compensate victims of the Sumu fire disaster at Lagos Island after a proper enumeration of people affected. The National Primary Healthcare Development Agency, NPHCDA, has announced its tentative date to commence vaccination for monkeypox as October 8. We also told you that President Volodymyr Zelensky has sacked the commander of Ukraine's Air Force amid debate over the destruction of one of the country's valuable new F-16 fighter jets. And in sports, the Nigeria Football Federation, NFF, has announced that Augustine Eguavon, a former player and technical director of the Super Eagles, will step in as the head coach for the team's 2025 Africa Cup of Nations AFCON qualifiers against Benin Republic and Rwanda. And for contact with the newsroom, send a message to info@trafficradio961.ng. That ends the news broadcast. It was compiled by Coyote Mafalashiri. Thank you for listening, Lagos. My name is Mike James. Beautiful morning to you.